This section, this chapter, this will be pretty easy. It's really simplifying. Well, it'll get hard later, but 7.1 is not bad. So this is 7.1, and it's all about simplifying. And so what that means is you want to simplify that fraction. You factor top and bottom, possibly, if they both need it. So the top is just 14. There's nothing going on there. But how do I factor 6a minus 8? How do I factor that denominator?
A minus 8 equals 0?
So factor it. So think about factoring. First step is always GCF. What can I take out? What do they have in common? 2. What does that leave? 3a minus 4. We good so far? So see how it's all about factoring? Like everything begins with factoring, basically. So yeah, you just take out the GCF. That's correct, isn't it? Because if you multiplied that, it would go right back, wouldn't it? To 6a minus 8. So, okay, so what? Now what? Well, now you can cancel 2 into 14. That's what we're doing, is simplifying. 2 goes into 14 7 times. And so the answer is 7 over 3a minus 4. That's the whole problem. Oh, yeah, it's right here, huh? So that makes sense. So you factor the top and bottom and cancel. Again, it's basically factoring. If you're a good factorer, all you got to do after factoring is cross stuff off. It's all about factoring again. Let's skip number 3. We got 6 minutes. Let me do the hardest one. Try that one. So again, factor the top, factor the bottom. It's like 2 factoring problems. Factor top and bottom.
Yeah, but you want to do every one of them because you don't want to because 1654 goes 1 to 6 and so
Making it perfect.
Six goes into 6 one time. And then 6
Just between answer 6x.
6 and x. And then.
Yeah,
Oh, 9. X and 9, no?
yeah, these two cancel out, so
So if it's the same as parentheses, it cancels out
6 times
automatically.
x
Mm-hmm.
minus 9.
So on the top,
And the bottom.
take out the GCF. What's the GCF? What do they have in common?
X minus 6.
They both have a 6.
Totally 6, yeah.
Yeah, and then that leaves x minus 9, right? On the bottom, what do they both have? X leaves x minus 9, and then what can we do? Cancel those guys out. 6 over x, as they said.
6 over x. Yeah.
Does that make sense? So you just factor top and bottom and cross off anything that matches. It's just about factoring, really.
Because it's like 1 over 1.
Yeah, it's 1 over 1, yeah. Does that make sense? Canceling on that? GCF, it's just we took out the GCF top and bottom. So on number 8, see how this one's out of order? Now I know I talked about earlier, I said double, 2, just leave them, but no, we really need to turn that around in this chapter. So how you turn around, so let me just write a rule for you. When x is subtracted at the back, rewrite it as -1 and flip it. Put the x in the front. Flip, I'll just say flip x to the front. So that top then will become -1 with x squared minus 9. See how that flipped it around? Is that making sense? To there. So that's an important rule. That's called at least I call it, the turnaround rule. It's not why no one else calls it that way, but turnaround rule. So when do you do that? When x or x squared, doesn't matter either one, is any kind of x is subtracted at the back, right? See how that x is subtracted at the back? We like them in the front, don't we? We want the x's in the front. So when x is subtracted at the back, pull a -1 to the front, and then you can flip it. It's the same thing. You haven't changed anything. Okay, so what? Now what do we do? Well, now, back to normal business. Can we factor x squared minus 9?
Yeah.
It's a double-double. It's on the board, right?
So
It's x plus 3, x minus 3. Right? We good there? That's how you factor a double-double, x squared minus 9, huh? Everybody seeing that? And then anything that matches, those cancel. So what are we left with? -1 times x plus 3, which you could leave it that way, or you could re-multiply it. That's what they did. See how they got minus x minus 3? It's fine, really, either way.
Minus x minus.
Is that making sense?
That's the final answer.
that's the final answer.
See what happened there? So if x is subtracted at the back, put a -1 in the front and flip x to the front. And then just go about your normal factoring business on that one. Right?